This is no podcast for comic picks by
not.
the Glick. Just kidding.
Yeah, we've already done this joke before.
This is comic picks by the Glick.
Hey, and I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, okay, so some of you, if you read my like non-podcast posts on our website, then you'll also notice that one of the reasons I gave for just like not offering a retraction of my Miracle Man as Norman Osborn's Mystery Muscle in the Marvel Universe right now. One of the reasons I gave for not offering a retraction of that was the fact that I've been rereading all 18 volumes of Naoki Urasawa's Monster. Well, you see, it's like after I found one. Basically, it's like, I guess I'm kind of justifying that because I went and reread all 18 volumes of Monster in the sense that it's like, as promised in one of my earlier posts, that I figured, you know what, why not just do a podcast on Urasawa, because right now he's probably one of the hottest. Okay, well, I guess it depends on what audience you pertain to. Yeah, because on one hand, it's like when you talk about hot in American manga, you're talking about just basically who's the most popular Shonen Jump author right now, as opposed to like Masashi. The guy who does Naruto.
There you go. That guy.
Tite Kubo who does Bleach, and Eiichiro Oda does One Piece. Like, which one of those guys is the most popular right now? But then you get to the older segment group of people who read manga like me, and then you think about when you talk about Viz's signature imprint, who's the most popular guy there? Who do you want to see more of? And then you get someone like Urasawa, who's just a master at creating like accessible, intelligent, suspenseful works. And for years in Japan, he was basically a popular author. He's been known for titles like Pineapple Army and Yawara. And then back in the mid-90s, he came up with a series called Monster. And that basically pushed him from being like a fairly popular author who did lots of good stuff to basically being held as the successor to Osamu Tezuka. And to be honest, that's not entirely unjustified. Probably, well, on second thought, it's might be a little bit overstating things, but not by much, because he's clearly a very talented author, and Monster is a work that should be read at least once by anyone, even though it's not without its flaws, which I'll get into in a little bit.
Okay.
Now, things with Monster, more than anything else, is an extremely accessible work, because you can just talk about its premise. It's just like a surgeon saves the life of this one kid who grows up to be a serial killer.
Yeah.
And that's your high concept right there. And you can just tell it to anyone, and it's easy to grab right there. You don't have to classify it by saying, oh well, he also transforms into like a Sentai superhero.
Yeah.
He doesn't have superpowers or anything. Like stuff like that. I mean, it's just great real world action that you can tell to anyone about. I mean, at work, at my job, it's like I'm just like a Prince of paralegal, and I'm basically the comic book guy at my company. Like, I basically read comic books every week, and so now most people, most of my coworkers, generally don't pay too much attention. Like, they'll pay asking saying well, what are you reading right now, Glick? It's like oh, I'll tell about this. And then they ask me about Monster, and I tell them it's about this given basically the premise, and they say, wow, that sounds really interesting. So I loaned it to one of my coworkers who showed it to her nephew, and apparently he eats this stuff up. He loves this, and he's
awesome.
Yeah, he's basically chomping at the bit for each volume, and even his aunt, who was my coworker, she's even started reading the first couple volumes as well. So that's kind of the reach this story has, and basically, in more detail, it's a story of Kenzo Tenma, a doctor at a German hospital, who's just basically your standard Japanese guy. I mean, he's
in a German hospital.
In a German hospital, he's just doing his thing, just letting himself be taken advantage of, and just going about business as usual. Just
he's a kind of junior doctor, though.
Correct? Yeah, correct. He's basically he's a brilliant surgeon, but he's also dating. He also subservient to the doctor's chancellor, who's also dating the chancellor's daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, and at one point he's just content to go about business as usual, except at one point when he's operating on this one patient, and he's ordered to stop operating on this guy in order to save this one opera singer instead, because opera singer is more important than just some random peasant.
Yep.
and then this one peasant's like wife starts harassing him after he saves him, after he saves opera singer instead, and Tenma is just kind of he's saying, well, he's supposed to re-examine his principle, like, it's like like aren't all lives equal, like shouldn't I have worked on this person instead, like
Right.
what does it matter, like this person was like like the famous opera singer, like this guy came in first, like all lives are equal.
Right.
Yeah. And then one night, this one politician from East Germany. He is killed, and his two kids, adopted children, are brought into the hospital. One of the girls is completely the daughter is shell shocked. The son has been shot in the head.
Oh, this is interesting. By the way, you brought up something which is interesting. You said East German.
Yes, East.
What do you mean by East German?
Yeah, basically, Temna is in West Germany, the good democratic side.
So this takes place during the time when there was two German states.
Yes, this is
Cold War Germany.
Let me check the timeline. Yeah, this
1980s
this starts
or
off
something?
in 1986.
Yeah.
It eventually goes towards 1997.
There you go.
In the present day for the series as
Yeah.
well. So Tem as he's about to operate on the son who's been shot in the head, he's been given the order by the chancellor to operate on the mayor of the town that he's in, who's basically had a stroke.
Yeah.
And so Tema basically rebels against him, saves the kid, foregoes the operation on the mayor who dies,
Right.
and he's basically blacklisted in the hospital after that. He's still there, but he's just basically doing grunt work afterwards. Then the chancellor dies mysteriously, and so Tema is then promoted to being chief surgeon in order to take his place.
Mm-hmm.
So and then things are going great for Tenma for these next 10 years or so, and then there's a couple of mysterious murder start popping up over Germany, and this one, and eventually there's one character who one person who's said to be involved in master lockpicker is basically brought to Tenma's hospital. Tenma operates on him, saves his life, and then he basically tries to start picking his brain for why he why he was involved in this thing, and what his role is. And then he basically says I was basically in the service of a monster, and eventually that monster comes back, kills the guy in front of Tenma, and Tenma finds out that it's the kid who he saved all these years ago.
Yeah.
And from there, it's basically like Tenma trying to figure out just what's the story behind this kid? How can I stop him? Because I brought him back to life. He would have died without me. If I had done this, the world would have been a better place if I had just let this kid die. And it's just pure straight out suspense from right there. Because the thing is with Monster, while it's got a great high concept premise, the overall thrust of the series is basically kind of like The Fugitive meets Seven. I mean, Tenma is eventually framed for the murders of the doctor chancellor who the monster who goes by the name of Johann killed all these years ago, and he's basically thrust on the run throughout Germany in an attempt to track Johann down, figure out his origins, and then eventually bring him to justice or shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also Tenma's got Tenma is basically Dr. Richard Kimball in this case. His Sam Gerard is played by let's see, what's his first name? Is played by Inspector Lunge, who is basically he's got a great evil character design, great Hawkeye mustaches, Hawkeye eyebrows, and he's just a character who you look at him, you think evil, but he's just really a very driven member of the BKA, basically Germany's equivalent of the FBI.
Right.
And he's basically got his own character. He's basically he's got this great memory. It just takes in all this objective information by typing out stuff using his right hand, just treating his mind as a computer, so to speak. And on one hand, he's basically dedicated to bringing down Dr. Tenma, because he basically figures that he's got a split personality.
Yeah.
Because this guy Johann, he can't exist in real life, Some guy.
Because he tries to tell him.
Yeah, Tenma tells him exactly. He tells the police exactly what happened, but it only brings him deeper and deeper into suspicion. But, and then it's basically Lunga is basically the guy who's trying to track him down. It's fun seeing Lunga try to track him down, and just even as he goes down like this path of Tenma's suspicion, eventually he starts to realize that Tenma might actually be right, because like once he starts being convinced, once people he starts interviewing actually starts telling him about Johann, then he starts suspecting things. Then takes him on a much more let's say existential route than his usual objective intake of information, which makes for like a very interesting journey for the character. I mean, it actually winds up humanizing him much later on in the manga.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like the manga is basically, it's pretty straightforward suspense as Tenma starts tracking Johann down, and he found out Johann's been really, really busy over the years since he was originally admitted to Tenma's hospital, basically becoming like being able to people, like manipulating Germany's underworld, and eventually like working himself into the position of one of its premier financiers, and eventually you think he's trying to be taking over the country in some space, but then something happens, and then you realize that Johann basically he eventually just wants to disappear, to just wipe himself out from basically ever having existed. And this arc, basically the first 9 volumes, basically Tenma trying to track down Johann, coming face meeting with lots of interesting characters. I mean, the supporting cast is fantastic, because even though the first half of the series basically focuses exclusively on Tenma's quest to track him down, the second half goes off in a lot of different directions, even like letting Tenma fade out from prominence even for several volumes at a time. Like he'll only show up like maybe once or twice in like several dozen chapters. But it's a testament to like how Urasawa works, that he creates an interesting cast from Dieter, the young boy who Tenma rescues from a doctor who's determined to recreate the circumstances that led to Johann's birth in this one German re-education center.
Right.
Also, one of Tenma's old colleagues, Dr. Gillen, who's basically made how to researching serial killers. Dr. Reichwein, a psychologist who's also got a vested interest in Tenma's case. And also Tenma's old fiancée, whose father was the old chancellor, and she...
Right.
Wow, it's like her liver is just made out of alcohol, because she's a truly vicious and mean drunk at times.
There you go.
But like and also Aunt Anna, who's Johann's sister,
who's not a serial murderer.
Not a serial murderer. Her life turned out to be quite really well, actually. But then Johann's involvement basically winds up ruining it, and she also takes it upon herself to try and make up for that, for his involvement as well. But
does she team up with Tenma?
Yes, she does on several occasions. But thing is, like I said, the first 9 volumes are really focused in short, like showing Tenma eventually meeting up with Johann, but not actually managing to do him in. The last 9 volumes are generally more unfocused in a sense. Not necessarily in a bad way, but I'll come to the series' flaws in a second. But in the sense that it's basically they start digging into Johann's past, and also his genesis, and that leads to a much more, I don't know, it's like it's more unfocused, but not necessarily less interesting, because you're not focusing on one specific narrative thread. It's just like focusing on a general idea as opposed to like a general plot. And it's like overall the series, like when I read this series like 5 or 6 years ago when it was being in scanlations, and I swear to God, I could not stop clicking the next button when I was reading this thing. I mean, like I just start like, oh, next volume.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's great, because Urasawa, he is scarily competent, just like orchestrating. It's like at just generating like this sense of suspense. I mean, like, you read his stuff, and he just knows how to get you to keep turning from page to page to page, because he's just the way he lays stuff out on the page, sets up the cliffhangers. I mean, you just want to know more. You just want to know what's going to happen next, up until the end. When you reach it, it's like, oh, that's good. Yeah. That's how you wrap things up, and then, and like I said, overall, if you've never read this series, like I said, you got to check it out at least once because it's a fantastic page turner, and it's accessible. I can feel free to recommend this just about anyone because it's universal premise. I mean, the only problem I had recommending like just people who don't read manga is that you read it right to left as opposed to left to right.
Correct.
Yeah. Now the issues though is that this is when my recent rereading of it is basically my third time through the Monster Universe after reading the scanlations, then seeing the anime, which is basically a 1-to-1 representation of the series. Mm-hmm. See, the thing is, after you've read it once, then you start and you read it again. Then you start noticing all the little things, little mechanisms that go on behind the series. Like basically, all Urasawa's tricks start to become a bit more transparent over the course of the series. I mean, then you start to notice how things like how Tenma seems to encounter a moral quandary everywhere he goes. Like if he's just going through the countryside, he'll find a guy who needs saving. He's scoping out a place he needs to kill Johan. He'll find this one guy who used to be a member of the SS, looking for redemption. Stuff like that. I mean, it's like it doesn't occur to you to think about this stuff the first time through, but then you look at this like this actually happens a whole lot. Wow, that's
more than coincidental.
Yes, and then also other things like one of Johan's followers, Roberto. This guy, he's a character who tends to show up just at just the right time. Like whenever something happens. I mean, you marvel at his ability to show up at just the last place you'd expect him. I mean, normally, guy, you expect like someone shows up at the last place you expect him to be a surprise, but then you realize that that's kind of like that's Roberto's stock and trade to show up when you least expect him.
And there's Roberto again.
Exactly. Yeah, but I don't know. It's like it's not enough to kill the series. I mean, like reading it again, it is still compulsively readable, but it's just like the whole kind of like the magic of like that first time through. It's not there anymore.
Gotcha.
But it's like I said, it's still a great series, and like I said, I recommend. Like I said, you need to read it at least once, either by it yourself or at least borrow it from a friend.
There you go.
Yeah, but since then, I mean, like Monster, I mean, like I said, one thing I've really reasons that Urasawa has achieved like prominence among the aged manga fan like me here is that like you read it as you're reading through it, like it's fantastic, and then you want to know more. And the thing is, like Urasawa has actually been relatively prolific in the last couple of years because. In addition to Monster, he's also done 2 series that are being released by Viz right now. One is 20th Century Boys. His new series is being adapted into a movie trilogy in Japan, which is actually done really well, from what I understand.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd like to see it, but the problem is they've only released up to Volume 5 right now. And so I don't want to watch the movies until I learn, I don't want to spoil anything from the manga.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Now, 20th Century Boys is the story of this guy Kenji and his childhood friends who created all these like when you're a kid you create all these adventures like you saving the world from robots and bad guys and just you being the hero. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Kenji did this with all his friends, and then years later they find out that someone is actually like using all these things we thought up in order to take over the world. It's an interesting premise because basically, it's kind of like the story of like if they were kids, like it's like the kids saving the world premise is kind of something that's been done to death in shonen manga in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But with 20th Century Boys, it's a story of like what happens when like all the stuff you dreamed as kids becomes true, but you're no longer a kid anymore. Like you're just like you're the adult, the cynical. Like the cynical adult who has become like depressed with what life has had to offer him, and then you find out that all your childhood dreams are coming true, and then now you get to try to summon up the will in order to save the world from them. Mm-hmm. And That's what I like about this series because it's like I said, it's basically like a standard shonen adventure done like only it's not done by like say like 11 or 12-year-olds, it's like some 30 to 40-year-old like adults who are just don't have that will to survive anymore, but they're starting to rediscover things, and they're done to try to figure things out. Now, while I know the series has been probably fully scanlated, I've resisted in reading them because like I want to see this as this comes out. And reading this, it's like, oh man, it's like it's gotten to the point where like it bugs me now that this is releasing as bi-monthly and that this month is a skip month. So I want to know what's happening next. Like with Volume 5, like I talk about this on it's like on the what I've been reading columns, but but it's gotten to the point where like Kenji and his hero and his childhood friends are working together to stop their enemy, the Friend, who is the guy who's it's orchestrated this political and social movement that's slowly taking over Japan, and like they've got things together. They're about to save themselves and stop the robot that the Friend has whipped up. But then, just at the moment where it looks like they're about to take it on, then it jumps forward about 14 years to focus on Kenji's niece, Kana. Now, Kana is the type of frighteningly competent female protagonist that Urasawa loves to write about. You can also, like I mentioned, Anna in Monster, and like she's also this kind of character as well. Only she's kind of like she's just really scarily competent, just like just about anything she does. Like comes from like it's like serving people at restaurants to stopping gunfights between rival gangs in downtown Japan. It's like it's fun seeing her because like while Kenji is kind of he's just kind of guy who used to be had this fire, but then went out and he was trying to rediscover it again. Kana is someone who's like never. She's always had it, even when she was a little baby. She's just gonna be she's gonna be the hero of this story from here on out. But I think one of the things I like about this series is that even with this time jump, it basically it involves me in speculating like what happened like in those 14 years, like what happened to Kenji, what happened to his friends, and why are the friends party why is he suddenly taking over Japan now? Yeah, it's like that's one of the things, that's what I like about this and why I'm so upset that like it's only released bi-monthly. Like, I wanted to see this a new volume every month so I can like it's 21 volumes from what I understand. Well, 20 or 21. I go back and check, but it's overall it's great involving stuff, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this turns out.
It looks like he has a talent for creating that kind of a storyline. Then
yes,
a storyline that gets you to hang on.
Yeah, he's just like it's just his general skill as a storyteller is just like he's friendly. He understands the basics of a story and just like what the bare minimum of what's needed to get you involved. He nails that every single time from all the stuff I've read. That even when he's not operating at peak form, it's still compulsively readable because you're still involved. You're still at the basic level of what's going on. Because that being said, the other series that's being released by him right now, the reason why 20th Century Boys is being released on a skip month, I imagine, is because his other series, Pluto, which is based on Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy story, The Strongest Robot on Earth. He's redoing this story in a modern sense, focusing on one of the supporting characters, not Astro, but Geist, a German detective robot. Now, on the surface, it's a good, interesting whodunit, as opposed to like you should find out like what this robot Pluto, who is going around killing all the strongest robots on Earth, what's his motives, who is behind him, why is he doing this? But the problem now, let me just say that I plan on hopefully at some point dragging the rest of the No podcast for old men guys to talk about this, because it is a very sci-fi question, and I'd love to hear their thoughts on this, because they could actually do like a good like spectrum of, let's just say like between John, Sebastian, and Jess, they've got a nice spectrum of interest for this that I like to mine. Okay, but because the thing is basically is that with with Pluto, Urasawa is telling a hard sci-fi story without any hard science fiction. Like there's not like there's stuff that like will be very interesting to see. Like how is this explained from a hard science from a science fiction perspective, but he's equating like humans and robots in a 1-to-1 ratio, 1-to-1 perspective, like, and that just doesn't work for me. And like I want to like get, but the problem is like I'm the one that I know that's reading the series right now, so I want to know, is it just me that's having these issues with it, or like like, am I just thinking too much into these things? So like I said, at this point I'm going to reserve my thoughts on Pluto, which is going to be 8 volumes total. 6 is coming out this month. It should be all done by April of this year. April of 2010.
2010, right?
Yes. And so like hopefully I will get our next crossover cast will be done before then, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like I said,
When Astro Boy comes out on DVD.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I didn't do anything on Astro Boy because as I said before, I love Tezuka's later stuff. His earlier stuff, including Astro Boy, I'm not so impressed by. But
Gotcha.
But I'm still like more amenable to Urasawa's modern take on the franchise than what we got right now.
Gotcha.
And but overall, bottom line is like Urasawa, great storyteller. Looking forward to being anything he does next, including his newest series, Billy Bat, which is first one just came out in Japan. Can't wait to see how that turns out once it's released over here. Assuming it's going to be in the pipeline after 20th Century Boys is done. So hey, like I said, go on next time you see a sale of the right stuff on Viz stuff. Just go and like look for Urasawa stuff. Buy everything you can from there. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right, and on that note, calling it a night.
All right. Next time.